Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. It's a Victory Monday, and I am your host, Kyle. I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. We are joined by special guest, returning guest, the big man himself, Mr. Mitchell Tischler. How are you doing tonight, Mitch? Thank you so much for joining us on this beautiful Victory Monday.
It is a beautiful Victory Monday. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me, guys.
Of course, sir. And I just wanted to say the Burgundy Zone is part of the Listen Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more at www.listenfrederick.com. Now, Mitch, the first question I have for you, the Washington football team went down to Charlotte, and they got the W for Coach Ron Rivera in his redemption game, winning 27-21. You were at the stadium. ESPN said that it was at 99% capacity in the stadium there. Was it a crazy atmosphere? What was it like to be there?
It was a crazy atmosphere. It was loud, and the fans were into it. I mean, we all saw it on TV when Cam came running out of the smoke, the proper amount of smoke. The crowd went nuts. It was huge. It was very cool. But I don't know that 99% of those seats had butts in them on Sunday. I think that was a little bit of a FedEx Field sellout where maybe they sold 99% of tickets, but they didn't have 99% of those seats taken.
Right. And before we actually got on here, I was just scrolling through the Twitter.
Your mic went out, Hall. Your mic went out. Let's get this first question to you. Taylor Heinicke, Mitch. My goodness. The guy just lit it up yesterday, especially on 3rd and 4th down. 16 of 22, 206 yards, 3 touchdowns, a quarterback rating of 141.3. Was that Taylor's best game of the season?
It's one of his 2 best games, with his other one being against Tampa last week.
Yeah.
I mean, he had to come out and play his best game. And, you know, I talked about it a little bit on our podcast about, you know, you can tell when Taylor Heinicke's going well when he hits his back foot and the ball comes out on time, accurate. And he did that again on Sunday. I mean, I was impressed. I think that we have, you know, whatever we have, 7 more weeks left in this season. You have a little bit of time. You know, no decisions need to be made now, but if he continues to progress, and I don't think he's going to play at this level the rest of the season. If he does, he's your starting quarterback next year, no questions asked, and I don't even know that you need to draft somebody. So let's assume that he's not going to play his best game of the year every game the rest of the way. He's answering a lot of questions at quarterback for you and giving you a lot of information about, you know, how this team is going to look going forward, because when he doesn't turn the ball over like he did on Sunday, when he plays well, when he is fired up, when he's moving outside the pocket, when he's able to throw the ball on time accurately, you know, make some of those crazy, you know, Taylor Heinicke type plays. I mean, he's the real deal. That was a hell of a performance. I don't think that anyone really thought that you were going to see Cam Newton play as well as he did, and Washington was still going to have a chance to win. And Taylor just went out and totally outdueled him.
Yeah, and 6 for 13 on 3rd down and 2 for 2 on 4th down. That offense was humming when it mattered the most.
Yeah.
I mean, he kept the ball moving every chance he had. That I mean, the 2 4th downs were both great plays. The one, obviously, near the end of the game, one running around and found John Bates, who, by the way, stepped in and played a fantastic game considering what you were getting from him. I'm an offensive line guy. I love those dudes. Those guys absolutely dominated on Sunday. That was a show up front. They gave Taylor Heinicke all the time that he could ever need, and then some. I think that 4th down and 3 to Bates, he held on the ball for almost 9 seconds before he threw the ball. Damn impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you mentioned the offensive line, and like I was saying before, I started freezing. I was going through the Twitterverse, and I came across Baldy's breakdowns, and he was showcasing Eric Flowers and how he was just pancaking people all day. He showed Brandon Sheriff getting to that next level on the long Antonio Gibson run. Just like against Carolina and Tampa Bay, how has this offensive line been playing, and do you think it's going to be sustainable going forward for the rest of the season?
I mean, the offensive line's been playing well all season. They've been dealing with a bunch of injuries.
Yeah.
They were playing with a 3rd-string center at one point when Keith Ishmael had to come in. I believe Wes Schweitzer just had a little cleat issue, if I'm not mistaken. That's why he had to miss a couple plays. But they were able to – these guys step in, and they're able to keep rolling. And it's been super impressive to see, particularly Sunday. The left side of the line, Leno and Flowers just were having fun out there. They were mauling guys. Brian Burns had no shot one-on-one against Leno, and then when Flowers would come over and double team him, they just knock his butt to the ground. Then pancake that jumped on top of him afterwards. It's fun to watch these guys when they start moving and playing well, because you can tell a lot how well the offensive line is playing when you look at the running backs numbers. And obviously Gibson ran for the most yards with 95. He was averaging, I think, 4.8 or so per rush. But the guys behind him, JD McKissick was also averaging 4 a rush. Jared Patterson came in and was rushing 3+, was averaging 3+. These guys were running through holes that were as wide as I was laying down on my side.
Yeah.
It's incredible to see. And when they're able to do that, it takes so much pressure off Taylor Heinicke. They ran for 190 yards against one of the NFL's best defenses. Taylor Heinicke threw for over 200. I mean, everything was kind of clicking and moving, and it's awesome.
Yeah, and that was the number 1 passing defense in terms of yardage in the NFL before that game. And Taylor Heinicke I guess nobody told him and Terry McLaurin, because they just did not care yesterday. But one player that did come back was Samuel Cosmi, the great rookie right tackle that came in. He left periodically throughout that game. Have you heard anything on Sam Cosmi? How's his status?
Yeah, he hurt his hip again. I think that it was I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We'll see this week. They have a kind of a weird practice schedule this week. They're going to practice Wednesday, I believe, take Thanksgiving Thursday off, then practice Friday and Saturday leading into the Monday night game. So what's going to be interesting for Cosmi, for Logan Thomas, for
Curtis Samuel.
Curtis Samuel. Thank you. All of them have an extra day rest, an extra day to get right. I think we're going to probably see all 3 of those guys give it a run come Monday, and I think that's going to be it's going to be interesting to see Logan Thomas and Curtis Samuel out there. I don't know that for a fact. I'm not reporting that.
I got you.
My Burgundy and gold intuition tells me so.
That just gets me excited. Yeah, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be the first time I want to say since probably Atlanta that they're gonna have the full offense on the field. So definitely can't wait to see that if it happens, obviously. But with Montez Sweat and Chase Young being out this past game, obviously Montez Sweat coming back in a couple weeks. Chase is done for the year. Casey Toohill stepped in. Smith Williams stepped in. What did you see from this defense, and specifically from those defensive ends this game? And do you think that this defense can keep kind of gelling together despite missing kind of those key guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to say, and maybe it's as the season has progressed, but I think Jack Del Rio called his best game of the season on Sunday against Carolina, and I don't think that it was by accident that it was with Chase and Montez both out of the game. I think that there was this reliance on the 2 of them that they were going to be able to do so much themselves, and it took the coaching staff and the players a little bit of time to kind of figure out that, hey, like, just because Chase Young is out there doesn't mean you can't also send a blitz from that side. That's only going to help them get to the quarterback. It's only going to keep the blitzer run free. Get some one-on-ones over there. They were a lot more consistent in rushing the quarterback and sending blitzes and getting guys up there. Are James Smith Williams and Casey Toohill the same players as Montez Sweat and Chase Young? No, but the defense played just as well with those guys out there as they did with the studs. And I think part of it is that both those guys, James Smith Williams and Casey Toohill, ran disciplined rushes at the quarterback. They stayed in their rushing lanes, and maybe they wouldn't have they didn't get the most pressure on Cam. They only had the 1 sack at the very last play of the game, but they also didn't let Cam escape outside and make too many of those amazing runs that, we got to see. He obviously had the big 30-yard touchdown run, but he wasn't able to torment them on defense the way that I was kind of worried he was going to, especially with some of that RPO read action stuff with Christian McCaffrey back there. I mean, those are 2 dynamic running backs, that could touch the ball, and they did a pretty good job of hemming both those guys in.
Yeah, and speaking of Christian McCaffrey and Cam Newton, this defense went into this game as the worst 3rd down percentage defense in the league. They come out and give them 2 for 9 on 3rd down is what the Carolina Panthers were. What did you see on film? There was one player in particular that I saw. They had sent like a 0 blitz, and then Cole Holcomb comes in zone late, and then it gets that tip on 3rd and 9. Did they do anything special this game, or was it purely based on execution where they were able to turn the tide and do really well on 3rd down?
They played really well. They played really well this year. I mean, last week. Yeah. Don't get me wrong, but some of that is due to Cam Newton being only, basically 10 days in that offense. They were running some pretty basic stuff offensively. Not to mention that I think we could see Cam's arm is still a little bit limited in what he could do, but ultimately they did a really good job on 1st and 2nd down. They left him in a lot of 3rd to mediums and 3rd to longs. There weren't a lot where Cam could take the ball under center and just QB dive it for a first down. So the defense just did a really good job of playing coordinated football. And I think you saw a lot of that with Christian McCaffrey on both the runs and the passes. Not necessarily that Cole Holcomb or even James Smith-Williams would make the first tackle, but they'd get their hands on them, they'd hold them up, and those guys rallied to the football really, really well. And they were able to gang tackle, which is, one of those football buzzwords that everyone loves to say, but it's not something that we've seen every week from this Washington defense. And they did it on Sunday, and it was impressive to see. And if they can keep playing like that moving forward, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. And, this Seattle offense coming up on Monday night is struggling big time. And Russ doesn't look like Russ, and DK is dropping balls, and Tyler Lockett can't get open. It's a disjointed team out there in Seattle. So they're going to have another opportunity to put up a good game, a good defensive game.
Yeah, it was hilarious this morning listening to the Junkies because EB's saying they think Seattle's going to beat us, and Drab's trying to educate EB on how bad Seattle is right now. It's just really funny to hear that argument go on.
I mean, they're 3-7. They're basically almost eliminated from the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
Hey, like the old saying goes, you are what your record says you are.
It's true.
But speaking of that, you mentioned Seattle in that game coming up on Monday night, primetime game. I want to say under Ron Rivera, they're undefeated as far as like primetime or like weekday games go. But I don't want to look too far ahead, but it looks like the Raiders are kind of struggling with everything they had going on out there. And then you have the division games coming up the last little stretch of the season. If they can pull this game off upcoming Monday against Seattle, do we start talking playoffs? Do we start talking wild card from there?
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy to say that addition of that 7th wild card spot certainly leaves the door open for them. I mean, there's a pretty direct line you could see to Washington getting to the 7th wild card spot. It's not that crazy where 13 different things need to happen. And, we talk a lot on our podcast about momentum, but you want to talk about momentum going, you win, you won 2 in a row, you beat a bad Seattle team. The Raiders have all sorts of shenanigans going on in their organization. And if anyone knows about how that kind of stuff can affect, the day-to-day doings on the football field, it's Washington football fans. So,
it's not us.
I mean, I don't know that I expect them to go out there and beat Vegas. That might be a tough game, but if you're able to eke that one out, you've won 4 in a row going into all those division games. I don't care how good you tell me the Cowboys are. We just watched them get the pants beat off them by the Chiefs last night, and the offense looked disjointed. The defense didn't look particularly good. I mean, they're not the juggernaut that they looked like the first 3-4 weeks of the season where we thought they were going to be unbeatable. I mean, they beat the Bucs week 1, and everyone was like, "Oh my God, look at this team! The Cowboys are going to be amazing." You know who else just beat the Bucs? The Washington football team. So don't tell me that the Cowboys are unbeatable. The Eagles run the ball super well. Washington's proven they can play a little defense here and there. If you can force the Eagles to have to throw the ball, that's a winnable football game. They've already beat the Giants. I mean, it's just it's crazy to think how much this season is can mirror last year, can mirror 2015, can mirror 2012. I don't know what it is about Washington, but whenever they make the playoffs, they go on this big run, to end the season. And there was a period of time, right before the bye week after that Denver loss where I didn't think that I wanted to watch this team win because I wanted to play sort of for the draft position and all that stuff. At the beginning of the season, we said this was a successful season if they made the playoffs and won a playoff game. And you can't win a playoff game until you make the playoffs. And you can't make the playoffs until you win a bunch of games in a row. They're just starting to do that, so we can just start whispering about it. Just whispering about it. We don't have to yell it from the mountaintops. Just whisper a little bit.
Just whisper it. Now, Mitch, I know you already talked about them in particular, but I want to kind of go into detail, the tight ends group, because I feel like it's being overthought of and being oversought, the fact that we are without our number 1 and number 2 tight end with Logan Thomas and Ricky Seals-Jones. John Bates came in and did really, really well. Sammis Reyes even came in and actually played and blocked on a couple run plays. How did they look to you? And then how impressive is Pete Hainer and the way that he's coaching those tight ends? Because we were on a 3rd tight end, and it looked like we didn't even miss a beat.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Hainer is a maniac, and I love coaches that are maniacs like that, like John Matsko is with the offensive line. When it's, when you're at practice and it's quiet, you can hear those MFers yelling at the top of their lungs at everybody and using a lot of colorful language that isn't fit for podcast, TV, any other medium. But it's a lot of fun to watch him, and he's doing a really good job. John Bates went out there and played really well. Ricky Seals was playing well for Ricky Seals. None of them are Logan Thomas. And
right.
I think, may be too simplistic to say, but some of those red zone issues that Washington was having right before the bye week could kind of be pointed at, because Logan Thomas was going to be such a focal point in the red zone. He's such a matchup issue for teams with his size and his strength and his hands of steel and everything else that he does out there.
He could jump out of the gym.
Yeah. So I think that, the fact that this offense has been able to kind of keep on the train tracks and keep rolling down has been impressive. And it's not just been the backup tight ends, it's been the backup offensive line. Look at the receiving core. DeAndre Carter going out there and making as big of an impact as he has is super impressive. Obviously the defensive ends we touched on. I mean, one of the things that in talking with Brian Mitchell a lot, what he always talked about with Washington was that a lot of the coaches only coached the first 22, the starting 11 on either side. They didn't coach all 53. And that's why sometimes when you saw these injuries, there was such a huge delta between the play that you're getting from the starters and the play that you're getting from the backups. And I think we've seen, at least last year and this year, that the drop-off between these injuries, there is a drop-off. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that John Bates is the same as Logan Thomas or any of those guys, but you're seeing the drop-off be much less and these guys be able to step right in and play well. And I think you gotta tip your cap to the coaching staff and the fact that they coach those guys, top to bottom in each of their position groups.
Yeah, 100% agree with that. And going back to that game yesterday, it was a game that was kind of pretty much going back and forth throughout the whole 3.5 quarters, even down 3 3/4 quarters. But what would you say was a turning point, kind of the big momentum swing in that game? Was it the Taylor Heineke kind of when he got the late hit on him, when he kind of got up, fired up, or would you say it was a different play?
Yeah, to me, it was a little bit of a smaller play. But it was Troy Apke jumping on that fumble after the DeAndre Carter fumble on the kick return. I mean, the coaches preached that they couldn't play this season without Troy Apke and that he was this, special team superstar and all these different things. And media, fans, I think folks were concerned if he had to get out there and play corner, what that was going to look like for this football team. And luckily, they haven't gotten that far down the depth chart where they've had to dive into the Troy Apke world. But he has 1 tackle on the season, but he made a huge play recovering that fumble.
Yeah,
DeAndre Carter fumbled it. The ball was on the ground. There were 3 or 4 Washington players, 3 or 4 Panther players. Troy Apke was standing, 2-3 yards away, making a block, turned around, saw the ball, and was able to somehow squirrel his way under there and pick that ball up. And they were able to go down, and Terry McLaurin scored that touchdown there, and they were able to kind of keep things rolling. But that was a point where if they turned that over, that would have been a huge momentum shift in the game.
Yeah, it would have been. That would have been gigantic because it would have been like 17-14 going into the half at that point. That would have been terrible. Now, to finish this up, Mitch, I have to ask you, this was a fantastic game, right? The way that we look at it, it's hard to pinpoint and say that somebody played poorly. But what I will ask you is, we give out game beers and we do kickstands. So game beers go to somebody who deserves to kick their feet up, enjoy a beer. They did well. They earned it. The kickstand, somebody that did poorly and deserves to be tortured for what they did. But I'm going to ask you a game beer, and I don't want you to go with like the easy one, right? Because I know how you are. You like the unsung hero type of guy. Who is somebody you think deserves a game beer for their play yesterday?
Eric Flowers was an absolute monster on Sunday. He was clearing holes, pancaking guys in front of him. Washington ran for 190 yards, and I don't have the stats in front of me, but I imagine 125 of them or more were to the left side of that offensive line, and a lot of it was between the tackles, which is really tough. It's tough to open up some of the sized holes that this offensive line opened up, and across the board, those guys all deserve game beers, especially Wes Schweitzer stepping in and playing center. He hadn't done that in, I think, 4 seasons or so, where he did it for part of his season in Atlanta. He stepped in and was a monster up there, and every time he stepped in and played guard, he did it too. So all 5 of those guys deserve it, but if you're making me pick one, Eric Flowers is the guy, because he was just an absolute monster on Sunday.
I knew you were going to go down that route, and I knew you were going to pick somebody that definitely deserved it, Mitch. I can't thank you enough for being able to come on and join us to give us your insight from the stadium yesterday and how you were able to watch the game, because it did bring a lot of perspective to it that I didn't really look into it, Mitch. I can't thank you enough, sir. I hope you have a great night, and I hope you have a great holiday week.
Same to you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. We can say that with all of the realness in the world. It doesn't have to be, New Year's, whatever it was.
Yeah, right. What Snyder said, that terrible joke. Thank you so much, Mitch. You have a great night. Enjoy your time with your family, man.
Appreciate it, guys.
Have a good one.
All right, Mitch, have a good one. All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man himself, Mr. Mitch Tischler. We love talking to Mitch, dude.
Hey, I love when we can get the big guy on, talks a little bit of bully ball with the big guys up front. So
Yeah, and
love
before
it.
we get into our next guest and the fan questions for this episode, let's get a little holiday ad in here. Ho, 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 gentlemen. Just like myself, the holidays came early here at Manscaped, the leading men's hygiene brand. Manscaped just launched new products, including their new Ultra Premium Body Wash and 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. Everyone likes a 2-for-1 deal. It's time to give yourself, or someone who needs it, the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use the code BurgundyZone for 20% off plus free shipping. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in for that. Now, let's get back to our fan questions before we are joined by our next guest, and you're going to absolutely love him. We all love PFF. My first question is from the Colonel, and this is a great question, Hall, and this goes right up your alley, sir. He wants to know, how exciting is it to see our wide receiving corps finally stepping up to the plate? Cam Sims had a touchdown. DeAndre Carter had a touchdown. Dax Milne had a couple good catches. Adam Humphries had some great, huge momentum-shifting kind of catches, too.
Clutch catches as well.
Yeah.
Look, I'm glad my man Cam Sims got on the field, got some run, got to show that what he can do, continued off of last year because, like we said, last year everyone thought that, okay, we got something in Cam Sims here. Maybe he'll be a great piece for this offense going forward. And like I said, glad that he got on the field, had a great touchdown catch. DeAndre Carter, I got to literally tip my hat, give you a hand clap because coming into the season, you had 0 receiving touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns this year, 3 games straight. Tip your hat to you. And obviously, the captain, Scary Terry himself. I mean, what more can you say about that?
Dude,
other than
5 receptions, 103 yards, 1 touchdown. I mean,
should have been 2 touchdowns if
each
Taylor missed the throw.
Yeah, each one of those catches was absolutely beautiful and were pivotal. Crazy times. The first one where Taylor throws it down the sideline. Terry turns around and high points a football, brings both feet in bounds. He makes it look so easy, but that is such a difficult catch to make in that situation.
Exactly. So definitely hats off to the receiving core. And like we just said, we were talking with Mitch. If they can get Logan Thomas back this week against Seattle, if somehow, some way Curtis Samuel can get on the field, you see what he did last time. Whenever this team was struggling on third down, going into week 3, Curtis Samuel comes in. He doesn't make the flashy play, doesn't make the flashy catch. He just comes out, gets 3 receptions for 3 first downs, keeps the chains moving. Definitely another piece of this offense we needed added. So if we can get Curtis Samuel back healthy, I think that this receiving core and this offense is going to take just another small step forward, and we'll be able to see what they look like maybe that Giants and Atlanta stretch.
Yeah, look, Cam Sims, 2 receptions, 19 yards, a touchdown on 2 targets. Both of those receptions were huge, one of them obviously being the touchdown. The other one was a long third down. It was a 3rd and 9. Hit a defender right on his back. Obviously, just like last year in Pittsburgh, he had the sticky hands on both of those. Those were contested catches, and he caught both. The other one, Adam Humphries, 2 receptions, 30 yards on 2 targets. There was like a 3rd and 19 that he caught.
Yeah,
he brought it with, I think it was
3rd and 21.
Yeah, and he brought it within I think 3 yards. He fought for that
18.
yardage. And that's what that one play that Taylor Heineke scrambles out to his left. 9 seconds of that play had gone off before he finds John Bates to extend the plays. That was absolutely beautiful by this wide receiving core. You have to give credit to them, give credit to Taylor. But we're not done yet with our fan questions, everybody, because now we are joined by our second guest. And it's our returning guest that we love to have, Pro Football Focus, being able to look at this game in particular with detail, with the numbers, because we want to be able to figure out who did well and who didn't, right? All right, well, now we are joined by Mr. Nick Akridge of Pro Football Focus. Nick, you there, brother? I don't think he is. I don't see him yet. Well, we'll keep going with our fan questions until he's here. Now, our next one is from the Colonel Hall. Oh, here he is.
Oh, there he goes.
Hey, how's it going, Nick? How you doing, brother?
What's up?
Pretty good. What's up, man?
Oh, nothing. So we are
on this
sorry,
Victory Monday.
Yes, it's a beautiful Victory Monday. So we're already recording, Nick. We jumped you in halfway. You're hitting the ground running, and you look great as always, sir.
Of course. When do I not?
Yeah. My first question to you, because one player stood out to me yesterday, and that was number 31, Mr. Cameron Curl. He had a big job yesterday, and that was strapping up Christian McCaffrey one-on-one, especially in crazy situations. The one that comes to me is the fourth and 3 at the end of the game. We were up by a field goal. Cam catches that Christian McCaffrey on the edge there, stops him short of the first down. We were able to get the ball in field goal range and extend the lead to 6 points. How did Cam Curl grade out?
Yeah, so Cam Curl was a little surprising to me. Now, I will say I did the offensive side of this.
Okay.
So any defensive grades,
I'm
not allowed to get yelled at. No, I'm not allowed to get yelled at for any defensive grades. No, for Cameron Curl, we have 62.1 overall, 72.7 in coverage. Like I said, I haven't had a chance to look at the defensive side of the ball, but that play alone doesn't matter what the hell his grade is with just that play. Pretty much almost won us the game. So
yeah, and he had 7 solo tackles. He was the second leading tackler on the team coming from that safety position and going against a run-heavy defense. That's exactly what he did. He balled the heck out. Now, my question to you, Nick, is who graded out the best on defense? Because I would imagine it starts with a guy who has a last name that's a first name.
Yeah. Mr. Jonathan Allen is who we're talking about here. I mean, it's every week. It shouldn't even be a surprise at this point. It's every single week. He has cemented himself into the conversation of the Aaron Donalds, the Cam Haywards.
Really?
Yes, this year alone, he's up there. It's one tier. It's Donald, Hayward, and Jonathan Allen. And there's a tier right below that based on just this year. And he's absolutely dominating. His one pass rush move where he literally humps the guard. He just picks him up, humps him, and pushes him back into the quarterback is unstoppable. I think it's the best move in all of the NFL. No one has stopped it yet.
Call it the Humpty Dump? What are we going to call it?
I have no idea what it's called. Some O-line or D-line expert will tell me what it's actually called, but all I know is that it's incredible that he can almost pick up another human being.
Yeah, Jonathan Allen is playing like a grown-ass man this year, and I'm here for it. Now, you mentioned that you did the offensive side of the ball, and we were talking with Mitch Tischler before you got on here, and he's a big offensive line guy. Obviously, this offensive line yesterday was just mauling people up front. They ran for 190 yards total for the team. Who were some of the guys that graded out the highest? And speak on some of their play there yesterday.
Yeah, so Cornelius Lucas was a stud in the run game, which isn't usually his strong suit. He's usually a much better pass protector, but he came in, stepped right in for Sam Cosmi, and didn't miss a beat. John Bates was dominant in the run game. He had one clutch catch on that crazy Taylor Heineke scramble, but what you're getting with Bates is a blocking tight end, and he looked incredible. I mean, there were a couple plays where he's just completely sealing off a gap where he's like 2 gaps over. I don't know how to explain it without showing you, but he did that twice, and it's
a
incredibly
long block.
impressive.
It's a block.
very, very long block to get to and to do it successfully. But yeah, he did it multiple times. He was dominant in the run game. Pretty much the entire offensive line, Wes Schweitzer stepped in and kind of played really well in the run game. Had a couple struggles in pass pro, but that's kind of what you expect. He's a center, hasn't played center in almost 2 years. So for him to kind of pick up on those sort of the stunts and the loops that they were kind of throwing at him.
Charles Leno looked like he was playing violent yesterday. He looked like a different animal.
Yeah. Again, Leno and Lucas are almost kind of that same sort of play style where they're really good at pass pro. They leave a little bit to be desired in the run game, but both of them were pretty good in the run game yesterday, especially Cornelius Lucas.
Wow. Now, it's good to hear because I was worried about Sam Cosmi being in there. I thought they would be able to run the ball incredibly well. Now, my question to you, Nick, you're a Washington fan, and our guy Michael Hall right there is wearing a jersey number 24. And I was kind of pissed off with AG after that fumble in the red zone that gave up points, but I thought he made up for it. What did you think of his performance yesterday?
No, I think he started to make up for it. J.D. McKissick kind of took over there for him a little bit, but he's always had these fumble problems. I mean, again, I don't want to keep harping on it. He hasn't been a running back for longer than like 3 years, so he'll learn to hold the ball high and tight. I mean, he should go spend an off season with Tiki Barber or something like that. Learn how to hold that ball high and tight or something like that. But I mean, when he has the ball in his hands and he can hold on to it, it's incredible what he can do and how he can make people miss and drive piles and always get those extra yards.
Yeah, that one run he had yesterday when he just gave somebody the quick little jiggle real quick and just completely broke him down. I was like, all right, looked like he's getting a little bit healthier off the shin splints, and hopefully the second half of the stretch of the season he'll be the AG from last year. Now, speaking of, we talked about grades earlier, the defensive side of the ball. one guy that's been a I guess a hot rod for either top great discussions or bad discussion has been Jamin Davis.
Mm.
Now, obviously, I don't think I heard his name called one time yesterday. I don't even think I really saw him on the field as far as like making like a flashing on the screen.
He had 3
But
tackles.
yeah, I was gonna say I saw like maybe 1 or 2 tackles here and there. But what was his grade yesterday, and what do you think of his performance yesterday?
You really want to know his grade?
Is it below 50?
I would assume it's pretty low.
It is well below 50. He finished with a 27.9.
No.
Jeez.
I know on the Cam touchdown run, he did get caught staring in the backfield. He got caught on the play action, and that's what allowed Cam that outside.
Yeah. Again, everything that I saw from the defense yesterday is just kind of based off of a sort of glance at the broadcast.
I got
view.
you.
But I did see a couple of the plays because it kind of shocked me. I mean, obviously we didn't really hear much from him, but it kind of shocked me, the grade. He just out of his gap a lot. I mean, he's just not trusting what he was seeing. He got fooled so many times on those read options, just not in the right gap. And, people were helping him out, making up for it. But no, he struggled. And I mean, I told people going into this year that you got to expect and his grades to be in the 30s and the 40s and the 20s range. That's just how it goes for linebackers and middle linebackers in the NFL as rookies.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at Patrick Queen, you look at Devin White, you look at Devin Bush, they all rookie years are in the 30s, the 40s, because I think it is the toughest position on defense to play. And it's not even close to me. It's so hard to do.
And especially in this offense, they're asking the defense. They're asking the linebackers to do a heck of a whole lot by covering a lot of space, but also being able to plug gaps with all the spacing that they do with defensive linemen. My other question to you.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at like just how offenses are nowadays, and with all of the misdirection and the jet motions, they have to process so much in just a split second. It's insane. I mean, you've got a jet motion going this way, you've got a pulling guard coming the other way, the running back's going that way, the quarterback's up the middle, and it's insane. I don't know how they do it. For them to even be in the right gap on any play is kind of impressive to me, but I just think it's an extremely tough position.
Yeah, and watching that game yesterday, Nick, I was very impressed by Taylor and the offense. They were very, very good on third down. 6 for 13, 2 for 2 on fourth down. There was one play in particular where there was a free rush off the edge, and Taylor sidearms the ball around the leaping defender, getting the ball to Dax Milne. It was a little small, minuscule pickup, but it was huge because you couldn't take a sack in that situation. Right. What did you see out of this offense after watching the film? What was so different on third and fourth down? They made some crucial plays.
Heineke was finally getting through his reads and hitting what was open, and it was beautiful to watch. And finally, people can stop talking about Scott Turner, because this is something you see every single week, where you see people running open, you see guys wide open, and Taylor just wasn't quick enough through his reads, and he couldn't get to him. Now, he's had some luck on these third and fourth down plays. There's a lot of luck that comes into these third and fourth down plays, and we've gone from one end of the spectrum where we just can't convert anything to the other end of the spectrum where we're converting everything. And I expect it to regress a little bit. I mean, I tweeted out that he has over a 90 grade on third and fourth downs these past 2 weeks, which is just absurd. He's not missing throws. He's not missing reads. And when he does his Heineke magic, it's all working for him.
Yeah, and that one play, me and my buddy were talking to each other, and he was like, dude, I'm telling you, that's Favre. That's Favre-esque. I still believe it's Jeff Garcia. Who do you think? Because it's a big topic. Everyone has to have a comp for Taylor Heineke. Who do you think it is?
I don't think there is a comp for the guy. I mean, he's got the stature. He's got the stature of Drew Brees. He plays like Brett Favre. He doesn't have that great of an arm. He throws off of his back foot all the time. He has his body open when he throws. His feet are pointed one way. The ball goes the other way, but it somehow works. And when it doesn't work, you can easily point to why it doesn't work. But when it works, it is literally magic. I don't know how he does it.
Yeah, I heard a caller call into 106.7 today, and they said the best way to put it is like he's a street fighter. He just like finds a way to get it done, you know?
Yep. No, I can see that. I don't know how he does it, but I'm absolutely loving it. He's incredible to watch when it works. When it doesn't work, I mean, you know why it doesn't work, because it just doesn't look good. But when it does work, it's pretty fun to watch.
Yeah, and it's been fun these past 2 weeks, and looking forward to this next upcoming week. We got Seattle coming into Washington. Obviously, their offense has been kind of on the downward trend lately with Russell Wilson coming back from the injury. What are you expecting from this team going into the Monday night matchup against Seattle?
Well, in the past, Monday night doesn't really do us too well. Primetime games, don't really suit Washington very well in the past. But there's something about Taylor Heineke that kind of turns up in these games and shows up and balls out. And I don't see how he doesn't just kind of repeat the past 2-week performances. Now he can kind of go back and revert to, have some of that turnover luck and that 3rd and 4th down luck go against him. But no, I'm just excited. He's so much fun to watch. I can't wait for Monday Night Football. It's going to be a long week with the 3 Thursday games, and you got to sit through all of Sunday just to get to Monday. No, I don't think they should lose this game. I think it would be pretty inexcusable to lose this game based on just how the Seahawks have played these past 2 weeks. They've scored 1-2 touchdowns in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think so.
It's very, very bad. Their defense is a mess. I actually just finished charting all of the coverages for their defense this past weekend, and bust coverages everywhere. No one's on the same page. It's a mess. So I think Washington should win this game, but it is prime time, so I'm kind of terrified.
It looked like Washington's defense in the beginning of this season.
They really did.
And shout out to my boy Danny. It is a myth. Now, to wrap this up for you, Nick, my last question to you is regarding this defense, and how they've done. And one player that was the punching bag early on in the season was Landon Collins, and we haven't heard his name very much the past couple weeks, and that's for good reason. He's doing a very good job of where he is. He was the 3rd leading tackler on the defense yesterday. How did he grade out, and what are you seeing from Landon differently than early on in the season?
Yeah, we have him with a 72 overall.
Wow, that's
yesterday,
good.
and that's pretty much where he's been ever since he's kind of made this full switch to linebacker. And it's what fans have been screaming for. Sorry, hybrid safety, is that better? I'll keep calling him a safety. I'll call him whatever he wants to be called if he can keep playing the way he's been playing. He just needs to stay near the line of scrimmage. He always has, always will need to be near the line of scrimmage, and it's working. Who would have thought?
Who would have thought? Now, to wrap this
up, except for
Nick,
every single Washington fan.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right about that. Now, game beers. We usually do a segment here where we give out the game beers and the keg stand. Keg stand being the torture bad player that did poorly. If you could pick one player that you'd think deserves a game beer, but that's not one of the easy ones, who would you choose?
I can't say Heineke.
No, you can't say Heineke.
If I can't say Heineke,
give me an unsung.
Eric Flowers.
Really?
I'd say Eric Flowers.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Mitch picked
exactly
Eric Flowers. I told him to pick
that's
an
exactly
unsung
what
guy,
we
and he
said
picked
there.
Eric Flowers.
Wow.
Great minds think
Wow.
alike. There you go.
Yeah, great.
Eric
minds
Flowers
think
in the
alike.
run game. He was moving people a lot. No, Eric Flowers. Brandon Scherf was also very good. I can keep going. If
You
want
could
me
pick
to.
Terry. No, but that's my last question to you is, I think I asked you this last time, and I'm going to ask it again, Nick. What else does Terry need to do to prove that he's an elite wide receiver and a top 10 wide receiver in this league?
Catch the ball with his hands.
Yeah.
I can't stand it. It drives me crazy every
Trust me,
single
I
week.
say the
way
same
he
thing
does
every
it.
week. I'm just like,
It's like this. He catches it like this.
Yeah, he alligator
It
arms
drives me
everything.
insane, but it works. It's not like he has a drop problem.
Right.
It
Yeah.
works. But no, in all honesty, we know where he stands in the league. He's a top 15, top 10 wide receiver, and he deserves all the money in the world. And I hope he stays. I hope he stays with Washington. We give him that, and he can kind of convince the rest of the league he's a top 10 guy.
Yeah, hopefully we can get Terry to get a contract extension here before his run for president, because I'm sure that's on his list in the future here.
I'd vote for him.
Yeah, me too. 100%. He already has my
I'm sure
vote.
a lot of people would.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Nick. Of course, you from Pro Football Focus doing the great job that you do watching the offense and all your grades and everything. If you, real quick, before you head out, if you just want to plug your Twitter handle and everything so people can come find your work.
Yeah, at PFF_Nick Akridge, all one word. That's it. I mean, it's just Twitter for me. I stay off all other social media. I can't do it.
And
Twitter's enough for me.
And remember, whenever you have an issue with PFF's ranking system, especially this week's on defense, go after Nick. His DMs are open.
No, just tag the main PFF account so they can just kind of ignore that, so I don't have to deal with it. I love Victory Mondays because nobody gets mad at me for PFF grades.
Exactly.
When they lose and it's a bad PFF grade, my mentions are a dumpster.
Oh, I'm sure they are, Nick. You're stronger than I will say, 'cause I wouldn't be able to hold my cool during that.
Just smiling through the pain.
Of course, Nick, you have a great week, sir. I hope you have a great holiday week. You enjoy it with family and have a great time, and be safe, brother.
Yeah, appreciate it. See you guys.
All right,
Bye,
Nick,
man.
you have a good night, sir. All right, everybody. We just spoke with the man Nick Akridge from Pro Football Focus. Glad to hear him as always. And
Numbers.
let's get back to our fan questions to wrap this thing up because we got to hear from our people. And our last one is going from the Colonel. He wants to know, Hall. It clearly was a team effort. Individuals' performances stood out yesterday. He wants you to comment on Troy Apke, DeAndre Carter, Adam Humphries, and John Bates. And we just talked about it.
DeAndre heroes.
DeAndre Carter, that route that he ran in that red zone for that touchdown pass, I mean, that was absolute gold. I mean, absolute gold.
Whip route.
Absolute gold. I mean, how quick he was to plant his foot. That defender was 5 yards away from him by the time he caught that football. That was absolutely beautiful. He continues to show out, dude. Continues to make plays. I don't think John Bates is getting enough credit for what he did yesterday. That dude is stand out. He catches he hasn't dropped a target yet. He's caught every single ball thrown his way since he's come in. I don't think the coaching staff gets enough credit for what the bench has done this season. You know, even everyone was making excuses for Tom Brady. Oh, we were just talking about this. He didn't have AB. You know, he didn't have AB. He didn't have Gronk. Still had Godwin and Mike Evans. Are we sitting here making excuses for the guy? I mean, look at this team and how many injuries they have, and they keep on chunning, and they don't make excuses. They just keep going.
Yeah, no, you mentioned it. It's funny because everyone was like, oh, he's just a blocker. I'm speaking about John Bates. He's a blocker. He's a great blocker, but people forget that. I want to say it was Mel Kiper said that outside of Kyle Pitts, he had the best hands as a tight end going into the draft, in his opinion. And like you just said, he hasn't dropped a target, hasn't dropped a pass yet. So he's kind of showing that. Obviously, Adam Humphries, that was a guy that was brought in to kind of be that safety blanket for Fitz. So it turns out he's becoming that safety blanket for Taylor Heineke. 3rd and 21. The dude runs a little like a route to the sticks, pretty much. Comes back to the ball, catches it, turns it up the field, breaks the tackle, gets 18 for them to get that 4th and 3, which obviously went to John Bates on the crazy Taylor Heineke play. Who else? Obviously, like you just talked about DeAndre Carter earlier, hasn't had a receiving touchdown in his career. It's a guy that was out of the league as a substitute teacher. We were talking about Zach Selby with that.
Yep.
And for him to come in the league, be a last man on the roster, special teams guy, and for him to contribute 3 touchdowns in a dire need when we need a receiver just like we did last year. So and like
not even like having issues on special teams, like dropping balls or nothing like that. The dude has literally not only done great on special teams, gotten us a touchdown on special teams, he's contributing as a wide receiver and a great one at that.
Exactly. Goodness. Definitely making a case for a Pro Bowl selection as far as a special teams returner, and then he can get some run as a receiver on the field as well. But and then like we said earlier, Cam Sims, for him to step in and to get a little bit of shine just based off of what he's done and based off what he did last year. And coming into the season, he was a big like hype train, and I'm glad he got hyped up, and I'm glad he got a touchdown. So definitely the receiving core has stepped up once again, just like it did last year, led by the man, the myth, the legend, Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, and before we said that Antonio Gibson averaged 4.8 yards per carry, had 19 carries for 95 yards. He averaged 5 yards per carry yesterday. Yep. Absolute bulldozing of a performance by the offensive line. They were magical, absolute magical. Now, the last question from the Colonel, it's a quick one. When is the appropriate time to remove the Washington flag from the front of his cabin? He said he hasn't taken it down since the Tampa Bay win. I'm telling him not to take it down. You know, I love America. I know you should have the American flag up there, but I like W's more right now. You know what I'm saying? And I'm all about superstition. I played baseball. Keep that flag up as long as you can. What do you?
What'd you say? My bad. I was frozen.
Oh, the Colonel has his last question. He has the Washington flag hanging up in front of his cabin, and he put it up after the Tampa Bay win. He wants to know when he could take it down. No, you're not going to take it down? No, you can't hear me right now. It's fine. But let's move on to our next question. And our next one is going to be from our Discord chat server, our guy, Mr. Tony Shivers, Big Tony S. He wants to know, what are your thoughts on the O-line depth and play? Ishmael even had to come in at center for a few plays. Lucas had come in for Cosme. They ran at will on a good Panthers defense.
All right, finally. I think I'm unfrozen for like the last 20 seconds. Talking about the O-line play, yeah, it was definitely great. The depth this year is great. Obviously, when you lose a guy like Brandon Sheriff, like we did for a couple weeks, for Wes Schweitzer to step in, pretty much have close to no drop off. Like you would think that Brandon Sheriff was still in the game. Shout out to him, doing a great job this
Even
year.
Larson, before he got injured in the game, he was doing a great job at center. I mean,
Exactly.
everyone on the offensive line has come in and contributed well.
Exactly. Like I said, if obviously you're on Twitter, Tony. So if you go on Twitter, you look up Baldy, Brian Baldinger. Look at his Baldy breakdowns. They got a great highlight of Eric Flowers and Brandon Sheriff on there. Great highlights of the offensive line, just mauling people, just bulldozing people. So definitely, like we said, the offensive line coach is doing a great job. He is coaching these guys up just about as best as you can coach them up, and they're playing like one of the top units in the league right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we get into our next question from Tony, because it has to do with Thanksgiving, it's fantastic. I wanted to give a shout out because, I always put out there that send in your fan questions you want to shout out for the show. And our guy Steve Andy actually hit us up. He said, "Hey, I don't have a question, but my wife just had her first baby last week. Baby girl, little Mia. I've been proud man all week. So yeah, shout out to Mia, new Washington fan. That would be great. Congratulations,
Hey,
Steve, to you and your
congrats.
wife, to your growing family. Welcome to the world, Mia. Welcome to the club. You're going to be fans with cash. We're going to new generation here. Congratulations to you guys. I'm glad your family is growing. I wish you guys nothing but the best. Now, let's wrap this up with Tony's question with Thanksgiving. What is your favorite Thanksgiving side, Hall?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm a stuffing man myself. I love me some stuffing. I could probably just literally skip all the rest of Thanksgiving and just give me a big old bowl of stuffing, and I'd be happy. So I'm a stuffing guy.
For me, honestly, dude, I love the sweet potatoes with the marshmallow on top. I mean, I love
That's a
stuffing,
good one.
obviously. I know that I heard the junkies talking about you don't put gravy on Thanksgiving and stuff like, dude, I put gravy all over my turkey, my stuffing, my mashed potatoes. I put gravy on all that. I love gravy. That's my thing. But sweet potatoes with the marshmallows on top, every single time because it's like part of the meal and it's like you don't have to get up for the dessert. It's like sweet, it's there, and it's good for you. I'm ready to go, man. That's my bit right there.
So true. That's definitely a must-have on Thanksgiving.
Yes, and now our next question is from Jeff Miles in the Discord chat server. He wants to know what's the difference between our season and the Eagles and who comes out on top.
Ooh, well, definitely. I gotta hate to say this, but the Eagles are a lot better than I thought they were going to be this year, and that's mostly due to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah,
And
he's
if
a
you
good
really look
quarterback.
at it, yeah, exactly. If you really look at it, we're kind of built the same way. We got three-headed monsters as far as running backs. We got a big running back stable, just like the Philadelphia Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
The wide receivers are not like the biggest names in the NFL, even though Terry McLaurin should be a big name, but they don't get the shine that they should because Devontae Smith is quietly having a baller year as a rookie wide receiver. And the offensive line is pretty good, just like the Phillies is. So the only difference is, I would say, the coaching. I think that Ron Rivera is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. I think that our coaching staff as a whole is better than Phillies, and I think that'll be the deciding factor when we go up these last couple games against the NFC East.
Yeah, I don't think. Look, the Eagles are 5-6, right? I mean, they're one game ahead of us at the moment, and we're matching up against them soon. What is the difference in the seasons? I guess they are starting to hit a stride, but the thing is they're going against lesser competition than we are, right? Because they're going against Trevor Siemian. We didn't have to go against Trevor Siemian. We went against Jameis Winston, and he just came off the street, obviously. You can make the same argument for Cam Newton, but Cam Newton knows his team. That's different aspect of it completely. But I think they are similar, and the Eagles are very good. But the thing is, the Eagles are good in the same aspect as we are, and it's the other opposite of our weaknesses. It actually goes against our strength. So I think that it's going to be a great matchup. It's going to be even set, but I think Washington comes out on top. This is how it goes, man. We always beat the Eagles on these types of runs that we have. I fully expect that to continue, my friend. Now, let's move on to our next question here, and this is from Andy Burrows in the UK. Oi!
Oi.
He wants to know, Mike, if the season ended today and knowing what you know now about Taylor Heineke, would you be all in on him or starting to look somewhere else?
It's a good question. I'm not gonna deter from my plan of still drafting a quarterback or trying to find a guy. Look, Taylor Heineke has played great these last 2 weeks, but let's not forget those prior 4 weeks of that. There was people calling for his job. There's people saying like, "Hey, should we give Kyle Allen a shot?" So again, if he continues, if we had it, this was week 18 right here, right now. I would have to say that you should always be trying to upgrade the quarterback position unless you have a legit franchise quarterback. And as of right now, I could not say that Taylor is a legit franchise quarterback. Could he grow into that? We'll see. But I would still look to upgrade, whether it be bring in a veteran, let them compete, or whether it be draft a rookie and have Taylor go into 2022 as a starter and let the rookie learn behind him and sit and grow and go from there. And then have a legit, not just a, hey, we're going to have a QB competition, have a legit QB competition, let them battle it out. But to answer your question, Andy, it would not deter my plans for 2022, which would be finding that franchise quarterback.
I would agree. I love Taylor. I believe in Taylor wholeheartedly. I do. But I'm always trying to upgrade that position because, like the Alex Smith situation, you can never put all your eggs into that one basket. It can blow up right in your face, and we saw that firsthand. Yep. Our next question is from our guy Paul Murphy, huge fan of ours, the Pablo man on Twitter. Love you, brother. Thank you for commenting these questions. They are great. He wants to know an unsung hero from yesterday.
Eric Flowers. Nah, I'm just kidding. We touched on him a little bit. That sounded weird. You hit on it a little bit. Cam Curl. I think that if you just looked at the stats yesterday, and he only had, I think, 8 tackles total yesterday.
7 solo.
Yeah, you'd be like, 8 tackles. I know, like that's a pretty decent game. But if you actually watched the game, he was all over the field.
Yes, he was.
He was covering the tight ends. He was covering C-Mac out the backfield.
Yes, he was.
He was making tackles on Cam, who is probably like a whole almost foot taller than him and like almost like double his size. So Cam Curls is one of those dudes that was a gem that we found in the 7th round, and hopefully is going to be a baller for Washington for many, many years to come.
Yeah, and one guy, Casey Toohill, I thought did a really, really good job given the circumstances he was implemented in. He was out in space a lot and was moving and actually doing really well on those read option plays, getting outside, tracking the running back C-Mac or Cam Newton down. I thought he did a really good job. But also Joey Sly, 2 for 2 on the field goals, made all the extra points.
Yes,
he did exactly what this team needed him to do when they brought him in here. We seem to easily go past the fact that Joey Sly did really well yesterday. But a couple weeks ago, we were starving for those points. And now that it's here and it was shown to be the difference in the game. The difference in the game was the field goals, was it not? So that's why it's important. I think Joey Sly's unsung hero.
Also, I mean, he gets even more just brownie points because if you go to his Instagram, you put, I'm back.
Yeah.
With a picture of him kicking a field goal. So, look, if you're going to be a field goal kicker and do your job well, you deserve to be petty. So be as petty as you want to.
Yeah. And then this next question is from Scott Hartley. Who has been the biggest sleeper signing or draft pick in the Ron Rivera era?
Ooh. Hey, I was a big doubter and a big disbeliever in the beginning. You and Reed, especially you, were like, no, I see something in him. This dude's going to be legit. Your man, Logan Thomas. I think that he has been the unsung hero since he signed with this team. He has become from a quarterback to a almost out the league tight end to a legit, before he got injured, top 5, top 7 tight end in this league. And I think that getting him back, whether it be this Monday or against the Raiders or wherever it is going down the stretch, I think that it's going to improve this offense. It's going to improve the red zone offense. And I think that it's just going to all around improve the team because he's one of those those kind of silent leaders that just goes out and does his job every single week. So Logan Thomas has been that legit, low-key, just thank you, Ron Rivera. Thank you, Pete Hainer. Fine.
I have 2 because I have to cheat. I want to give credit to both of these guys. One, not because we just had him on the podcast, but Charles Leonard Jr. He has brought the vet leadership, and he's played in every single game going back to 2016, bringing that stability, consistent, and veteran leadership to left tackle side. We kind of had it on the right side with Morgan Moses, Brandon Sheriff in the past. Letting Trent Williams go, we were kind of missing leadership from that aspect. Bringing Charles Leonard in, I thought he has done a great job at left tackle. He doesn't get enough credit. And the other one's DeAndre Carter. I mean, my goodness, the guy came in and has absolutely solidified the return ability, not only getting those touchdowns, but also contributing as wide receiver. I think those 2 guys definitely deserve the nod for it. And then my guy, Cam Curl. Everyone wants to talk about this staff and what they did this offseason. Let them play out. I mean, everyone was talking crap about John Bates 2 weeks ago. Now look at him. The dude is contributing a lot and doing a really, really good job.
And on top of that, you can't forget J.D. McKissick. Since he's signed with us, he's been the #1 pass catching back in the entire league. Most receptions, I think yardage-wise as well. So, look, that free agent class from 2021 last year, it might go down as like one of the best in Washington free agent history that I can think of, at least as far as production wise.
Yes. And now one of the last questions from us is from Al Bundy Jr., my guy, Polk High Great on Twitter. He wants to know, looking at the top 22 wide receivers in the NFL, why would Terry leave, as people suggest, and where would he be able to go and do better?
That's a good one. As far as I'll work it backwards. As far as going anywhere and do better, I would say maybe a team like the Rams, where like Sean McVay is just great at scheming wide receivers open and great at scheming people open. The 49ers as well, just as like Kyle Shanahan, same type of play call like Sean McVay. And I would go anywhere where I would say like a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers, like one of those top 2-3 guys, like a Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers type guy, where he's going to be that number one target, get like 10, 12 targets a game. But again, I think that Terry is the perfect fit for this team. He embodies everything about this team, about this culture, this new culture that's being built. And I just hope that they back the Brinks truck up and say, give him a blank check and say, fill out however much money you want, sir, and we'll cash it for you. Don't worry.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my goodness. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I really don't. All right, one place I'll say, and I don't want to say this because I don't think Terry will leave. There is one place that he'll do better, and it sucks to say it, but it's New England. And the reason why that is New England never goes out and gets talent, right? But there is somebody who would acknowledge Terry's talents. They'd bring him in and say, look, you're the number one. And you know that they would give him all the targets that they'd want. Mac Jones is accurate with the football. I think that is probably the only place where he could do well, because with LA, like you said, and Aaron, there's other guys there that could take the balls away from Terry, and Terry would be the added guy. I think in New England, he'd be the number one, and he'd get all the targets, and he'd still do what he did here, but do better with Mac Jones because he's more accurate with the football. But that being said, I'll take Taylor Heinicke at the moment. I don't care what anyone says. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you could also go devil's advocate, where there's other weapons around him to take the attention off of him, so that he would stand out even
Chicken
more.
or the egg.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? You get more attention because you get more single coverage, and put up more numbers, better catches, more stats, stuff like that. But no, you're right. Chicken and egg.
Chicken and egg. Same thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for this Victory Monday. This episode, A New Hope. A little Star Wars twang in there. I can't thank you guys for joining us for this Victory Monday, dude. That was a team victory. Second straight in a row. They all did it. Special teams, offense, defense, coaching, all the way down the line. They all brought in, and it was a total team win. I love this team, man. To see where they were a month ago to where they are now, this is what football is all about. It's a meat grinder. You're never the same team that you were in August when it gets to December. You go through a growing process. It's natural, and it's beautiful to see this team finally playing together and playing as one, because it is absolutely amazing to watch them take down some of the greatest. Thank you to everyone for your fan questions. Thank you, Big Tony Shivers, Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Steve Andy. Congratulations to you and your wife on your daughter, Mia, and the birth of her. That's awesome. All right, everybody. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
And we will see you guys on Friday. Have a great Thanksgiving. Eat all the food that you possibly can. Stay safe. Enjoy some football.
Stuffing.
Yes, sir. And, of course, Washington football. Woo! Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. And if you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. That way you get notified when anything new is uploaded to the channel. Also, we just launched theburgundyzone.com. You can go there and find all of our latest news, articles, and the latest episodes that are uploaded. Again, we also have the Discord chat server, where all of our VIP folks are in, like Andy Burrows, Scott Hartley, Sergio Martin is in there as well. Don't miss out on the Discord chat server. Go and check that out. Until next time, everybody, Washington football. Woo!